Hello, everyone. This is Deb Helfrich, hashtag redheaded She-Hulk, www.insightsoccur.com. This is an off-the-cuff improv. Trying to get in my brain sort of where I want to go, how quickly I want to go there. So maybe we start over. Yeah. Y'all can handle the fact that life is a dress rehearsal. It always is. You get up, you put on your clothes, and you go rehearse being human. I enjoy doing stand-up philosophy because learning to think better is a skill that when you see it done in a different way, in a different matrix of pulling together philosophical premises about how the world works, how being human works, through the lens of this 51-year-old who just lost 150 pounds in the 15 months after turning 50. 150 pounds. Didn't change what I ate. I learned about how 1 + 1 = 3. And as any project manager knows, you can either get stuff on time, on budget, or fully featured. When it comes to eating, what you eat, when you eat, how much you eat. Turns out what you eat can be an almost irrelevant variable. I avoided gluten. That's what I did. 150 pounds, an entire African man. By focusing on the when and how much, in a way that fasting, but also feasting. Having an ancestral relationship with food, going back to a more hunter-gatherer style of eating. This is simply listening to the body, which is simply when food's around, having as much as I want, and letting that all get digested. And letting my body spend some time figuring out what's going on in the environment, whether we need more calories or not. Because I've managed to address lifelong obesity on a number of levels, through sound healing, tuning forks, through cannabis, through tremoring and ecstatic trance dancing, and just having a ball inventing the profession of stand-up philosophy, which I've been told that there is a very similar profession in Kenya, stand-up politicians who are really, the griots, the storytellers that go around and talk about what's going on in a real story-to-story, person-to-person way. Public speakers in America, you put people and call them great and microphone them and bring thousands of people in to hear just one person talk. News is traveling more through personal conversations of a very complex nature. The complex nature of things is pretty much what 1 + 1 = 3 is the basic heuristic of. And I want to contextualize that with what got me here on the recording today is I'm watching the British series Black Earth Rising, which is now perhaps the best piece of television I have ever seen and could ever comprehend seeing. This series, Beyond, 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 it's about the Rwandan genocide, complexly, very philosophical. No spoilers, apart from the fact that the thing they got right is being able to very essentially, in no way, shape, or form pulling any punches, that there were humans who were Hutus, and there were humans who were Tutsis, and there were French humans and British humans of pale skin, getting their noses into the whole situation. But humans populated these roles, these societal forces. And it was a mass delusion. I was having a great conversation with a couple Black men on LinkedIn, and kept sort of saying, you know, like, have to think of this civilization level disease as the delusion of white supremacy. There's no such thing inherently. White skin is just pale skin, and racism is all created categorizations. My pale skin is not the most dominant feature. My redheadedness and freckles make me 2/3 African. Any African right now today can tell you there's red hair and freckles, people who born and raised on the African continent in many various nations, in many various different degrees of freckliness and redheadedness. I like to synthesize. I like to unite. I like to use logic plus love intertwined. You could just sit here and be kumbaya and you stop listening to me. The fact that I explained that the reason why I am the person who deserves your help this very minute, getting a seed investment, finding a producing partner to create this web series, doing this, is because I understand my humanity so thoroughly that I can build the bridge with anyone around the globe. No matter how you might judge us to be categorized differently, the power of my evolutionary logic will have me figuring out how me and that person are very similar. Because I was ostracized my whole life for being morbidly obese. The amount of effort I had to put in to get anyone to pay attention to me was astronomical. But not in a victim way. In a really, I'm gonna do this Deb's way. I did everything Deb's way. Deb couldn't do the way everyone else was doing things. And I was really never bothered about the state of my life, which is very exceptionally neglectful. I still have trouble because I don't want to push the blame out. I simply want to describe it from within so we can start understanding that our kids have to be allowed to be themselves. Let the kids blossom into who they are. Really just champion everything they do. Cherish them. It wasn't that anyone intended to do me harm. They just never saw Debness. That's it. And I've lost my 40s. I have not had a daily interaction with another single human in over a decade. It makes my conversations really complex. That's the major answer to this. I'm out of practice in like zoning into how other people's brains work on a much slower gear than mine. Because I was just doing stream of consciousness, trying to heal from a toxic mold exposure. This capacity to have been so constrained and to think so much about humans makes me this person who, when I'm considering Rwanda and I'm considering the precious humans who end up calling themselves tribes like Hutu or just Tutsi, how do we right now, when we're fixing humanity thanks to coronavirus, how do we understand this genocide from the real human individual perspective? Take away the politics, take away everything. Think about what it must have felt like. Of course, the fear, the terror of being hunted. Not that we're excusing it, but take a second to have the empathy for what it did to the humans executing the executions. That can't have been easy. Something had to have altered their basic humanity. Consistently. Not just a one-off, moment, but figuring out how to wage war. If that's something to a person, it must do. And maybe, again, we like to see one cause and effect. We like to say, turn them immediately crazy. But doesn't it make them so fearful that then they come back home and they want to just greed. Ones who don't have any active memories just have to alter everything about who they were, how they treated humans outside that container of war. Now, I'm always on the side of Africa. So it was really important to me to try to figure out, how do we make sure we, again, completely do not apply any single amount of skin color prejudice to talking about the two different sides of the Rwandan genocide, the Africans that were participating. So we understand it as humans, so we can do things in the world that we're now having to fix, that coronavirus broke, that could eradicate the possibility of any further genocide. If somebody hasn't asked that question, are we going to get around to thinking that through? No, we've built this very linear society that really isn't good at thinking like this. Well, let Deb share this video. And the question really becomes, okay, we can conceive of this. We can have some people willing to think about, there were humans, and both of those humans, both sides of that sort of harming of other humans in a conceptual way, because somebody else said so, because there's been this false dichotomy, because there's been, historically, that's how it happened. 2020 is clapper on everything that used to be. It can't really be. And everyone right now is just trying to get the handle on how bad it was. I'm really trying to say, oh, I got the handle on how bad it was, or I can get the handle. Just here right now, first time thinking about Rwanda in the context of making sure well-being philosophy works, and it does very well. Stop traumatizing children. Stop neglecting children. We can turn this around in 30 years if we all work together and see humans as just humans. We really can. Don't harm the kids, then the kids will just basically, tell all the old fogies everything we're getting wrong. The kids aren't harmed. This world is nirvana. It's challenging, right? There'll still be, earthquakes and tsunamis and things like that, but human civilization won't be rigged against 95% of the world's population. Human civilization, these concepts, these things that we've built in order to get along together, this human thought, they can all be changed. Economics, government, education, all just thought forms. Because at one point, somebody wrote them down. We started thinking in their laws, thinking they're immutable, thinking it now seems that it's inherent. Socialism is bad. Communism is worse. Why do we have to always, let's just get it all right. Let's just build a world where all the abundance is shared equally. Some people can play the game of capitalism. They might want to do that. Many of us want to play the game of creativity. Many of us, and in fact, this is a 80-20 rule. Most of the time when you think of 80-20, you go up and down. All this 80 and this top 20. Evolution does it like this: 80 in the middle, 10, 10. 80 in the middle, those are the humans that are going to make the next generation of humans, the moms and the dads. 10 and 10. These people do things differently. Because I'm not an actual biological mother. Now it turns out at 50, I got all this work to do, the sort of mother, making sure this crop of humans who are my age, decision-making adults, start thinking differently so we don't self-extinct this species in 30 years. It's gonna happen that quickly, y'all. Somebody write me a check. This is a big check. And I'm gonna, you don't get to see that full argument unless I'm certain your heart's in the right place. But I can lay it all out. Life-centric evolutionary logic makes things really easy to understand. You really go into the empathy, go into the embodiment, find out what physically happens, what mentally happens. Put yourself, as somebody like me, on both sides of the Rwandan genocide. I've practiced this for years, decades. So you're probably just going to need to help me do all the heavy lifting in this. But it is that simple. Loving humanity makes you able to think through even the worst things that have happened and try to find the lessons that make the greatest foe that humanity's ever faced so far, in the way that we conceive of it, is modern humans. We don't know what happened, you know, in previous plagues and or there asteroids or whatever happened. We don't know. Right? We don't know what we don't know. We make assumptions, and then somehow the assumption convinces us that we weren't playing, I don't know what I know, I'm picking up hypotheses. We start to, the more you go around, you forget that an assumption was made at the very beginning. That's what my 1 + 1 = 3 heuristic helps you to stop making assumptions at the very beginning, just because you always have made those assumptions. And the only answer to 1 + 1 is that it equals 2. That's an assumption. Hashtag wellbeing philosophy is really good at giving you the thinking tools and the mental fitness to go, ooh, there's that cray-cray underlying assumption. I mean, maybe in 1860 people thought like that. Wait, that's cray-cray today. Maybe people thought like that in 1920. That's cray-cray today. People thought like that in 2000. I don't know what they was thinking. They didn't have a smartphone. How the hell did shit happen? And how did like the internet even exist? Pre-social media. All right, y'all. I got this down. We're gonna end with this. The single biggest foe, of course, to our physical health is coronavirus. Single biggest foe to our mental health, consumerist capitalism, the corporations. Clarity. That's a shout out to my friend, MB, who did a little IG live on the 5 C's yesterday. I'm gonna have to holler this out to her. This brand of improv, I can just do it, really, because it's just all of my salient memories. And when I set out to prove a point, which is one final point, so the Rwandan genocide, I've brought you to the fact that the foes are corporations. when I want to make sure that we don't, in any way, shape, or form, put skin color in our brain when we're trying to assess Rwandans, I want to make sure to say that, you know, Africa is governed by colonialism to this day. The systems, the concepts of government and economics, Africans are being forced to deal with the twins of capitalism and racism. Even in their own country, that shit don't make sense. Africa can start all over again so much quicker than the US of hypocrisy. And I really would enjoy sort of like starting that debate. I'm not the one to make any decisions. I'm just the one to say, that's how I see it. Smart money is on Africa right now, the Caribbean right now, for many, many, many reasons. It comes back to the challenge has become trying to fit into the Western model while dealing with the sort of dictatorship mentality. And what that's really is those societies are still looking at this model of only this small percentage gets all the abundance and everyone else just get a job, $15 an hour at the grocery store. That'll do you. The whole system is that does nothing for you. Whose job is it to make sure everyone has a job? Philosopher. Ask the question and say, the reason nothing works is because everyone goes around assuming that every individual can get a job. When we know, turn that right around, and corporations do everything in their power to never hire anybody, to do anything. They spend countless amounts of money making these jobs so hard to get that they create the crime that then sets the cycle of that community being completely polarized. Really, you know, again, affecting their own bottom line because their own employees are not working in optimal safety in the world around them because of the economic disparity that the corporations are constantly. Every bit of money in America right now is beholden to the concept of making a corporation better off than you. Every dollar getting spent right now, even by solopreneurs bartering this, that, and the other thing. The theme of America, owned by the corporations, the US of hypocrisy, the theme is everybody spending all of their precious thoughts on making this money, which ultimately gets funneled into buying things on Amazon. For one example. You didn't think I could pull that off. I was just rambling. That was a very specific example about everything that's being thought about right now ends up making one of a few corporations. Now we're having to get out and figure out how many zeros a trillion represents. It's not an appropriate way to run a society. They're good at playing this game, but the game's rules must be altered right now. Dictators in Africa? Nothing to do with black skin. Because we've got plenty of dictators in America. They're called CEOs. And they're the ones creating the societal framework that has everyone trying to commit genocide against other people trying, because they're so worried what they have is so fragile. Capacity to care for their family economically is so turbulent that we're all looking to become genocidaires, as the French would say, I think. Find other people like us in our same predicament and then go eradicate other people. Because there's not enough resources to go around in the current models. I didn't think I was going to be this good at 360-degree argument over out. This has been Deb Helfrich. This is my gift. I want to keep doing this. These are fabulous, fabulous journeys. I hope to soon have all the right life-centric, flexible brain, open-hearted people are my tribe. Let's get this globe operating. Every one of the 7.8 billion humans. Bold idea out.